It's I don't know what way I'd lean with Fight of the Night. Part of me thinks like Molly McCann, even though she was kicking her ass the whole time, just for how sweet the finish was and how much cardio she managed to like pull out the bag.
Well, it was a lot of early finishes, so you can't really say apart from Molly McCann, um, none of the first round finishes or early second round finishes can be fight of the night. None of the
I
certainly
don't
Gunnar
know.
Nelson.
Topuria for the comeback.
Yeah, I
Although
can make an argument for that.
I I don't know. Did they comment on what the live odds were? But I don't know if anyone actually went into round two thinking there's no way Topuria is going to land. Like, just still kind of waiting for it. I like the comeback one on that.
That was good. I still think Jack Shaw versus Valeev was the best fight across length of time. First two rounds were back and forth, and then obviously Jack puts it on him in the third round.
Yeah, I didn't know if he had it,
scrambles.
to be honest.
I didn't know if he
was
had it.
gonna. My heart was telling me maybe a draw.
Well, to be honest, I thought that as soon as I heard 29-27 on one of the judges' cards, I knew he had it. I knew that's the direction that they'd gone in. But it could have gone either way. I mean, a couple, obviously, Corey McKenna thought that she'd won. But, I mean, guys, we might as well get straight into it. Welcome back to the MMA Split podcast, everybody. We're here to break down and recap and discuss everything that happened at the incredible UFC London card. Best card of the year so far, I would say. A lot of people saying it's the best non-pay-per-view card the UFC's ever had. Certainly from an English perspective, that is a very hard thing to argue against. And I got to say, I thought they nailed this all the way through. I thought they promoted this like it was a pay-per-view card. There were ceremonial weigh-ins. There was extra media. It just felt like there was an extra level beyond. It felt like this was a pay-per-view that you didn't have to pay for, that was on at a reasonable time. And, I mean, 9 finishes, incredible finishes, some fantastic performances from the British fighters, some great performances from non-British fighters. I mean, really, the only thing that this card didn't have was maybe a couple more kind of slightly more even fights. I mean, I think the only criticism you could say, and it's a minor criticism at that, is pretty much every single fight was either a sensational comeback or it was a pretty one-sided, fantastic performance.
A little bit, but finishers are going to finish, and I don't think they're ever going to worry about putting too many finishers on a card. If you have an opportunistic nature, these things happen sometimes. I was feeling it though. There was the goosebumps as it was starting. Because think about this, COVID kind of started with the UFC card getting cancelled. I think it was scheduled for like in May. London. And, this is the first big MMA event, I think, in London with fans since COVID.
2019.
I think Bellator haven't squeaked in there with fans, have they? No. It was just a bit like Dublin. And so, yeah, I don't know. It felt like a big sigh of relief, And yeah, I was fucking amped for it. And I think everyone was feeling it. There was definitely something in the air. There was that energy going.
Well, just the fact that you have the first fight on the prelims walk out, and I'd say the stadium was already, or the arena, I should say, is already 80% full. People weren't just showing up for the main card. That atmosphere was there from fight one. It delivered straight away from Mohamed Mokaev, scoring that fantastic finish against Cody Durden. Flying knee into the standing guillotine. Absolutely sensational. Obviously, I know you enjoyed that one, Josh. And really, the momentum just didn't stop from there. I mean, the prelims I thought were fantastic. Let's go top down as we usually do. I almost kind of started going bottom up there. Obviously, it all culminated in the main event. The guy that was headlining the card, Tom Aspinall, against Volkov. I was expecting Volkov to win this. I thought this was maybe a step too far from Aspinall. Holy shit, was I wrong. This was the crowning moment that sealed the awesomeness of this card, because Tom Aspinall was untouchable in this fight.
Oh, man. Yeah, against such high quality opposition as well. And he beat him everywhere. Like, we were high on Aspinall, but we didn't know. Like, we didn't know this was the first real big, huge, fucking relevant test he had. And he came through with like flying colors. Like, I think the strike differential was more than Volkov's total output. I don't know. Have you got the numbers, Sly?
No. But yeah, Aspinall murked him.
Yeah.
Did Volkov even hit him? I don't think Volkov even touched him.
Not a lot. He did, get some shots in. But I think he got less than half to what Aspinall landed.
Yeah,
Nothing really
he
landed
only got
clean.
13 shots against 35.
How many did he throw?
30, can't find it.
It doesn't matter. Like, my
Doesn't
point
matter.
is, completely outclassed him in the stand-up, which is the one phase of the game that I thought he might have to navigate through. But didn't even matter. And then, once he got him down, that straight arm lock was just...
He was
a thing of
too
beauty.
fast. He's too fast for him. It was just a different level of speed. And the thing that really impressed me is that this wasn't just he struck with him for a bit and then decided to wrestle. Everything was just organically flowing in itself. The takedowns were set up well. They were hit at the opportune moments. It didn't feel like it was... everything just felt like it was all packaged together in his game. Just true MMA fighter all the way through.
With the head movement on that second takedown leading into it, beautiful. At first, watching it live, I thought that was a pretty cheap takedown to give away. But then I watched it back and I thought, Jesus Christ, he didn't stand a chance. Like Slice said, just got murked.
Yeah. Boxing slips, using that to set up the takedown, it's fantastic. And the thing is, if he didn't feel the takedown was there, he could have slipped and started landing counters. He had so many different, we talk about guys having different ways, having more or less ways to win, and how many weapons have you got. And this is just a guy who's so comfortable with a variety of skill sets, all starting to merge themselves into one MMA game. He's not a striker trying to incorporate wrestling. He's not a wrestler trying to incorporate striking. It just all feels like it's been learned in this package with itself, and everything complements each other. And with his athleticism, with his age, with his mindset, the fact that he carried that main event with all the fans cheering his name did not seem to affect his performance in any negative fashion. If anything, it only heightened it. The sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, obviously, once you get to the elite of the division, it's athletic freaks. It's, can you stop the wrestling of blades?
He's there.
He's in the conversation.
Volkov is part of the elite. We understand it's been proven. Garn is faster and and better on the feet. Obviously, against a guy like Blades, he can't stop the takedown. But he is fucking elite. And I like the call out of Taito Ivasa. I also like the idea of taking the winner of this weekend's main event. But really, if I'm him, you kind of just got to sit and wait, right? Because who the fuck knows what's going on right now with Ngannou? And then if they can't sign Ngannou, who does the interim? And because it seems like it should be easy, right? But when they find Stipe and he picks up, the first thing out of his mouth is more money. And when they find John Jones, the first thing out of his mouth is cocaine, get me another woman, and a shit ton more money. So I have no idea how it's going to pan out. But I got to feel like he's in prime position to take the next eliminator shot, right?
I'd really like to see him fight Gunn. I think that would be a real fun technical
That's got to be an interim shot there if he goes Gunn, right?
Honestly, I don't want to see Gunn fight. I just find it so boring. If I could just not see Gunn fight ever. I mean, look at that fight. That was two heavy.
Can I make a counter?
A lot of fun. No, Gunn would not have been that fun. Go on, Matt.
I'm going to make a counter. The reason that Gunn's fights have not seemed entertaining is that he is a very technical, safe fighter because he is too quick for these guys to catch him. So the way that he fights, it's basically like, these guys aren't going to get past the first hurdle. So I'm not going to do anything more because I'm going to win this fight because I'm too quick. Aspinall's just as fast. That wouldn't work against Gunn what Garn would be forced to deal with is somebody that's going to be able to keep the same kind of pace and reaction and hand speed. So I think it would bring out a really interesting fight, and I would pick Aspinall to win that.
I don't know.
Well,
it's going to be tight.
With
I
the
think
ground
he hits
game,
harder. He's fast. He's just as fast, and he hits harder. He's more comfortable on the ground.
And his old man's been rolling for 30 years, one of the original black belts in the UK. That I did not realize about Tom Aspinall, because he's such a humble motherfucker. Yeah, I only saw it in the fucking pre-fight amble, you know? They had that little like bit with his old man, like chatting away, and I'm like, I've never heard the guy brag about this. In fact, I've never heard him talk about Tyson Fury. I've just heard other people talk about him sparring with Tyson Fury, training with Tyson Fury, you know, being one of Tyson Fury's like training partners back in the fucking day. Like his levels of experience where he just touches like different facets ultimately of what he's bringing together in MMA, like you said, Matt. Like some of the fucking experience he's getting though, like these little touches are pretty fucking high end. And what a fucking athlete, and what a great fucking attitude. I absolutely love this guy.
What a great fucking guy, man. He's so humble. He's so down to earth. He's a hard-working dude. He's taking these challenges head on. He's everything in his mindset says he's going to be successful. He just seems to tick every single box. I don't want to see him fight Ty, because I think him and Ty are these exciting guys at the moving to the top. And as soon as they fight each other, one of them's going to lose some of that shine. I'd like to see them fight some of the more established guys, to be honest. Maybe one of them fights the winner of Blades versus Dorcas. Maybe the other one fights Cyril Gunn. Maybe one of them ends up fighting Stipe if they can't get an agreement there.
Look, if I figure Gunn. All right, Ngannou's got some injuries. Okay, so I do think they're going to re-sign Ngannou. I don't think it's necessarily going to be all tied up by the end of the year, but I think it's essentially going to happen with a boxing clause. And before he comes back, they will do an interim shot, and it will either be Stipe against Gunn, or depending on how they think they could do a pay-per-view numbers, maybe they throw some money at John Jones, do John Jones against Gunn. If for whatever reason Gunn won't sign Stipe, John Jones maybe. Excuse me. I don't think it's a reach right now, and I think Aspinall proves that he is worthy of like an interim title shot. I just don't know if he's going to be one of the first three names on the list. You know, I think unfortunately there might be some people. Plus, if Blades does something absolutely spectacular against Dorcas, Jesus, I don't fucking know. And Derek Lewis is going to fight again, I reckon.
It's getting crowded. It's getting crowded at the top of that division, and that makes it interesting. For Volkov, it's tough, man. I think he's just a bit too slow, and I think the division is improving around him, and he's finding that his position in that division is kind of gradually sort of moving downwards.
I don't know, man. I think the Blades one, yeah, that's unfortunate. That's just a bad stylistic matchup. Gone, yeah, okay. That's a gut check. You are not as good as the best in this division. That's unfortunate, but he really is one of the best in this division. And then fucking Aspinall, who's an absolute beast. So I'm not ready to completely count out Volkov. I think he is still like a top 5 guy. Maybe I'm sentimental, but I just wanted to get that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can always come back at heavyweight. A couple of big wins and you're straight back in the mix. We got a lot of action to talk about on this card, so let's move down to the co-main event. Again, I predicted that Dan Hooker was going to be the better fighter. I don't know if it was the weight cut. I don't know if it was the speed. I don't know what it was. I don't know maybe if it's just the fact that Arnold Allen is an insanely fucking bad dude. But this was an absolute mauling, man, from start to finish. I mean, Arnold Allen was pull countering him early on, and as soon as he had him hurt a little bit, he just never let him breathe. It was, I mean, very out of character for him, but absolutely stunning and disastrous for Dan Hooker.
He did get dropped to the one leg with that innocuous kind of left hand. But, like, Sorry, I'm jumping in. I'll let you guys go.
No. You can jump away. The only thing I was going to say, listen, he got caught once, but it didn't seem to phase him too much. And I think
and he came back from it well.
And I think he calculated that these exchanges were benefiting him a lot more than they were benefiting Hooker, who, I don't know, he looked slow. He looked fast to react. There didn't seem to be any pop in him. Once he was put on the defensive, really exposed some technical elements of his game that were lacking as well. I mean, no head movement, no real ability to kind of like defend with anything, aside from your feet, which I think he's been getting away with at lightweight because people aren't maybe as quick. But at featherweight, obviously, you're dealing with somebody that's faster than you and you're not able to just kind of like backtrack and get away from them. And I mean, a disaster for Dan Hooker, an absolute disaster. But, and I'll tell you what's the shame of it is that however impressive Arnold Allen was, because it was so disastrous for Dan Hooker with all of the variable factors with him going down involving, I think it will end up detracting a little bit in the long run away from what Arnold Allen did, because the conversation will be tainted by, is Dan Hooker kind of, done? Should he never have gone down to featherweight? Rather than looking at it as you just be an elite fucking fighter. Outstanding.
Maybe. I think if it had gone to decision, that might be a bit more like a prevalent kind of thought. But the truth is, like, the way he was able to like sting him, I think initially, and also setting up the finish later on, was kind of with the 1-2. And I don't know what he was doing to get Dan not to move his head. Obviously, the weight cut is an absolute bitch for 45 for Dan. But yeah, it wasn't just like he'd kind of lost half a step, just looked a little lost at times. And I couldn't believe how fucking good Arnold Allen looked. That was a really long layoff, right? When was the last time he fought? Like 2 years ago? A year and a half ago?
Year and a half at least. It's been a while.
Looked like he's just been sparring the whole time. He used to have very obvious holes in his stand-up game. And now it was just like, against a guy with like a long reach, is very tough and likes to brawl. You did get caught with one. But, you reset. You were able to sort of stop, pause, set something up, tag him again. And again, go for the finish and flurry and not empty your gas tank, not get caught this time. Just fucking beautiful. Like, what do you think, Sly?
What I always did. I think I was the only person to pick Allen. I think you both.
Nope.
You picked Allen as well?
Yeah. You
My
and
decision.
me finished one pick apart on this one.
Who won?
I won, but it
Really?
was fucking close. Yeah, it was the Gunny Sato fight. You didn't have enough faith in my boy Gunny.
Wait, I picked Sato.
Josh is 2-0
Yeah, Sato
up.
lost.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sato.
Yeah.
Josh has made an outstanding start. We'll give him his official Josh wins shout out once we get to the bottom of the fight. But yeah, Sly, what was your opinion on this? Obviously, you thought Allen was going to win.
I think more the same opinion. It was super quick. We didn't expect it to go that quick. Didn't expect it to be that easy. It just looked like Hooker wasn't ready. It looked like Hooker wasn't ready for this fight. That's what it looked like. Yeah.
They're basic boxing fundamentals. They're like Allen has much better boxing, and that's what it ended up coming down to. Allen was moving his head. The pull counter was what set up everything. And Dan Hooker, I mean, look at his fights. Has he ever really had great head movement?
No, but taking a 1-2 straight down the middle that he's stepping into, you have time to read. You'd think at least guard up, try to like parry, throw something back. But it was almost like he just wanted to feel it. Like, getting under the shower face first. Just let me feel it a little bit.
I'm not talking about just the 1-2s. I'm talking about the flurries, for example. Like, you've been hurt.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep your head up. It was just literally just this. And
the shelling up, I can forgive. But I think there were like just 2 instances where he just got tagged clean. So I thought, if I got hit with that against Arnold Allen, one of my big takeaways would be, come on, even I'm better than that. So yeah, a little slower. I don't know. Arnold just looked fucking fantastic. In real time, I was just like, Jesus Christ. I almost missed like when he got dropped to one leg. I was just thinking, wow, this guy's really shored up his stand up. And you kind of watch it back with the calmer head later on, and you're like, that's still a fucking great performance. But yeah, you see he's in transition. He's an improving stand up guy. I didn't realize he was going to be that much better with his hands versus Dan in this fight.
Yeah. Do you think there's an element? Do you think that the Felder and Poirier fights broke down a little bit? You look at what his performances have been since, and just even in the Hack-Parast win, it was a very well put together performance, but he didn't quite have that same kind of striking acumen and willingness to kind of throw. He goes 10 rounds with two beasts and takes, I know he wins one on the judges, but takes an unbelievable amount of damage with two people that are known for just being unbreakable when it comes to going to war. And
I wonder what the recent run of form has done to his sparring as well. Is he maybe turning up a little too much? Not necessarily in terms of head damage, but just in terms of like throwing too much and just wearing his body down in preparation. Because he looked like, a guy that is kind of peaked maybe like 2-3 weeks before that, or maybe due to peak 6-7 weeks after that. He did not look, aside from the fact that he cut weight, and obviously him at 45 looks fucking shredded. But you just sort of, I don't know, I love Dan so much. I don't want to be like he's getting old, or the losses are getting to him, or the wear and tear, or the weight cut. But it wasn't, it wasn't the tough, durable, hard as nails Dan Hooker that was advertised. It was the Arnold Allen show. And I find it easier to reconcile it that way as a Dan Hooker fan.
Yeah, and it was always going to be a tough fight for his first fight back at featherweight. I don't know what the best move for him is, but he's going to be in a tough spot right now. For Allen,
Dana's a big fan. Dana's come out and said, like, this guy can do whatever he wants. Like, not going to force him to move up. Not going to talk about cutting him. He is in, right now, there's only one other guy in that club, and it's our favorite Sam Alvey. But they're both in the Jean Volonté club,
I don't know if that's where Dan Hooker wants his career to be, though. I think that's the soul searching that he has to do. Moving on, because we've got a lot to talk about. We'll breeze past this one because it was very quick. Gunnar Nelson with a very dominant, very boring, very one-sided performance. Sorry?
I thought you said the fight was very quick. I was like...
No. A very simple, I should have said, sorry. A very simple, dominant, one-sided... I mean, basically, Sato just sat in a position and blocked for, kept his hands over his head for 4 minutes while somebody, slowly, precisely just punched him in the side of the head.
Yeah, he looked like John Fitch out there. It was just, I will not be tapped, but there's not really anything else I can do.
Yeah, but listen, Gunny's been out for 2.5 years. Probably good to get the minutes back in the cage, and good win for him. Welcome back. Now, let's talk about Paddy Pimblett, who I skipped over when I started talking about Gunnar Nelson for getting the order of the fights. Almost got himself in some trouble, but I will say I don't think he was in nearly the same kind of trouble in this fight as he was with Vendramini. I think Vargas charged in, kind of really just sort of knocked him off balance and bum rushed him more than anything else. And obviously on the ground, I think Paddy felt pretty confident that he was going to be able to survive in his guard and then be able to eventually switch things around, which is exactly what he did do. So I don't think it was a disaster. I actually think he looked really impressive here, but he still has that tendency, particularly when it gets up inside of the pocket, of just chin up, kind of swinging and keeping his head on the center, and it's going to get him caught, and it's going to get him beaten by better fighters in this division.
Yeah, but he did drag that fight down to the ground and keep it there and utilize that. I told you he was going to do that. He's never going to have great defensive stand-up. It's just not in him. He genuinely believes, despite all the Scousers that have been knocked out, the Scousers can't get knocked out. But he does. All of his arrogance comes from his grappling and his ground game. And I knew he was going to go back to it. And I'm very, very happy for him.
Oh, listen, he got the finish. He smashed the walk-in. He smashed the pre-fight. He smashed the post-fight interview. The guy's making
Rush the walk in. It didn't even get as far as the words you had out. The O2's got a car park, Paddy. I know that. I've been there. Then started to walk out in the car park. Rushed it. You're walking out to a 3.5 minute intro. You need to make it last that long. I don't know how long that fucking remix is, but like he rushed it. Absolutely rushed it. Very disappointed.
Well, I thought he smashed every single element of this, handled the pressure, and I think the UFC are probably doing a smart thing because they're making the most of his hype now before he's kind of tested against those elite guys where he's not going to necessarily do the Conor McGregor and just kind of go through everybody. So they're making the most of him when he's going to have his most amount of value, and I think that's smart. I can see him co-maining the next event that he's at pretty comfortably. I don't think he's a main event by any stretch yet. I don't think they really want to touch that category. I do think
if they renegotiate the contract now, then he will do whatever they want in terms of top 15 and pay-per-views. But do you see the thing someone put out about reported money for Pimblett?
I heard him saying it was wrong.
Yeah. I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if he was on something like 30 and 30, you know?
Well, he only got 60 grand for that fight.
Maybe. I have no idea. But I don't think he got 100 grand. They were like, yeah, he got 100 grand. I wonder he's asking for more money. And he was like, I don't get paid this much. There's no way
that could be a tax thing as well, though. Maybe the official number's 100, but once you remove the tax or something like that. Or maybe
maybe that's after the bonus as well. Saying it's like 50 and 60, I'd be like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can believe that. Hey, good. Listen, he's going to get paid more money if he continues on the track that he's on. Winning is good for business. He's just got to keep winning and to be honest, taking fights at this level. I think he was smart not to kind of rise up to the Topuria call out because I honestly think Topuria would do some really bad things to him if they were to fight right now.
It's not a favorable matchup, and also despite the heat with Pimblett and a great win, it's like Topuria's rising, but he's here, and Pimblett's already fucking here. And the UFC don't pay either of them very much, so I imagine they probably will kind of keep them apart until it's a bit more lucrative.
I agree. And again, they're bankable. They're bankable guys, and they don't want to lose that height for either person by matching them up before they've got a ranking. So I completely agree with you there. But test pass for Pimblett. Massive test pass for Molly McCann, who was the sidekick in this whole evening. If this was the Pimblett show, she was Robin. But
she's the new champion. I don't know where she got that belt from, but she got a fucking belt.
She got a belt that she claimed herself. She didn't wait for anybody to give it to her. And fuck man, she deserved this. First round, she was fantastic. Second round, I got to be honest, I thought she'd burnt out. And I was kind of wondering, is it going to be a bit of a hold on for the end? To land that spinning elbow, the way she knocked Luana out, that is one of the most savage knockouts I've ever seen from a woman.
She was very very patient with that. I could see her kind of thinking about it 3 or 4 times before she actually goes through it. She's like, where's she keep putting her head? All right, I'm going to get the next one. Boom. Beautiful. Yeah, like she kept... I did think maybe she was going to get her put away in the first. And then, you're kind of wondering, have you just completely Leonardo Santos it and absolutely destroyed yourself? Just like waves breaking against a rock, and now you're all spent. But fucking, she was just pulling cardio out of her ass. That was an amazing fight.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, she when it's a fight on the feet, she has an intensity about her and a willingness to trade shots, and a willingness to get hit to land a harder shot back, and a viciousness in her strikes, particularly in her boxing, that most women don't have. She's just got that absolute ironclad. I mean, look at the last fight when she was fighting Kim and was just walking forward, getting punched, screaming at her. She doesn't give a fuck. And if she's doing that to women, then she can do something. And, you know, I thought she was great as well. Her celebration was great. Her and Paddy are a great little duo. You know, I think they kind of, you know, I don't know. I think they could both benefit each other's kind of sort of fan base and media kind of reputation as well.
I mean, yeah, the Scousers do get behind each other, don't they? Yeah, you were fucking Till jumping on the cage with Aspinall as well.
Apparently Aspinall lost him too.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah. So no one cares apart from Izzy. Izzy was just posting about that, like being like fucking Till, trying to steal other people's glory or whatever he said. Till was like, you fucking asked me to. Said some other shit, but the only bit that really resonated with me is just like, stay off the coke. It's bad for fighters. I really think you might have been honest with him, Matt. I think he might have had a nasty little habit, and he's gone all Kimaev to get rid of it.
Yeah, very possible, very possible. I think as well, Izzy likes Till. That's a lot of it as well. Izzy wants so hard to be able to something to happen that justifies the Till fight, even if Till's current record in no way, shape, or form merits it. Like he's trying. I think that's some of it as well. Like they both know that a little bit of heat and animosity, if that can be built up the right way, Till might only need to win a fight, and if there's no one else left,
if he's cleared out the division, you're always one win away.
So I do kind of tap at that there, and there's a great result for Molly. I mean, the only sad thing really is it would have been a clean sweep for the Brits that were fighting if it wasn't for Jai Herbert getting sent to the Netherrealm by Topuria. But
he had a good first round. He had a great first round.
He's just a bit too chinny, isn't
he? I was thinking this, right? Sometimes he has looked a little chinny, but we know what Ilia Topuria can do with that hand. So that body shot, the left to the body, looked bad enough. But when that like overhand comes, and it comes kind of clean across the side of him, just like flicking a chin and just making it twang. It was crazy.
Yeah, the problem is Herbert's chin's in the air a lot. So if he is going to get hit by that, it's going to be more damaging. The other problem Herbert made is he lands a left hook just before that. And it's a really good left hook. But instead of getting his hand back up, he lands and just kind of stares at it for a while. It's literally, he got caught admiring his work. You know, he thought he landed a good shot. He's pausing to see what the reaction is. And while he's pausing...
Oh, shit. I thought it was just folding from the body shot. That's why I thought he was kind of like... Because he kind of like sort of drops, like body kind of sumps a little. Because it's actually quite a way for Topuria to get that right hand up to his chin with a height difference. But yeah, fair enough. I didn't even see that.
Wow. He may have also been affected by the body shot, but I saw his left hook land and it looked like he kind of got caught staring at it. The body might have affected it as well. Might be a combination of things. Either way, he got knocked out and Topuria didn't. It was a fucking amazing main card. It was pretty good for the English, although this double salvo with Jai Herbert and Mike Grundy was a bit tragic. The Mike Grundy one particularly, because you get the whole build-up. His terminal ill dad is there in the stands, and he charges him for a takedown and gets caught with a guillotine. And, you know, Makwan Amakani, you know, is on a 3-fight losing skid. He's fighting for his job. He is in no way, shape, or form there to do anybody else any favors. And, of course, he's going to take full advantage.
That was a bad sloppy takedown. Just real quick though, just before we leave the main cards, I totally forgot to talk about it at the time. Sly, I have a stat for you. Do you want to hear my stat?
I'll listen.
So Arnold Allen has won his first 9 UFC fights. There have been 7 other UFC fighters that have done this, including current champs Volkanovski, Usman, Izzy. And the other one's JDS, culminating with I think defending the belt once before losing. Shit, who else? Obviously, Anderson Silva. Shit ton
Max
of.
Holloway on his run to the belt.
I don't think because he lost to McGregor, and I think he might have lost one other.
No, he went. He went on a 9. He had a 9 fight winning streak.
The first 9.
The
From
first
debut
9.
to fight number 9. And Arnold Allen, my point I'm making is that is a very illustrious group to be with it. Do you guys see him getting a title shot?
Not next fight, but
No. I mean, at some point in his career, do you see him fighting for the gold in this division?
Yeah,
maybe.
No, I think he
Win
matches
his
up.
fights.
I think he'd beat the Zombie, and Zombie's getting a title shot.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one though. That's a bit of a Bisping rock hold. It's just like the first guy to say yes to it when it falls apart. But obviously,
but the point is, okay, so do I think he's going to get a title shot? Sorry to cut you off. Zabit's got his health issues. Cater's in his 30s. Max is approaching his late 30s with a lot of tread on the tires and might be going up to lightweight in a few fights anyway, depending on what happens with the belt and all the rest. Volkanovski's 33. Ortega is late 20s, early 30s, but a winnable fight for Allen. The real scary guys in that division are getting older. They're not going to be around forever. I think he matches up well with a couple of people. I think some would be bad matchups. I think Volkanovski would be a really bad matchup for him. But he might not have to fight Volkanovski to become the champ. He might not have to fight Ortega or Yair to become the champ. But the fights that I think would be tricky for him is Volkanovski, Ortega, Yair, and Chikadze. I wouldn't back him against. Cater would be interesting, but I think it's tough.
That's probably going to be the fight that they're looking to make now. Cater's responded favorably to the call out.
I think Allen's more well-rounded. I think he's faster. I think he's a lot more technical. He's a lot more, I think defensively, he's a lot better. The real question with Allen is you just don't know how he deals with getting his ass kicked and having to come back from it. You know that Calvin Kattar is willing to walk through fire. And I don't know. I'm not saying Allen hasn't got it, but we haven't seen that have to come out of him yet. And that's always a question that you wonder. But I'd still probably pick him against Kattar. I think Cater's very hittable. I think he can be a bit flat-footed.
I think he can get a title shot in the next year or two. I think he can beat Kattar, but it's going to be so fucking tough. That's another huge step up from what he's just done with Hooker, and I think he's
jump.
like I
five's a big
he's
jump.
really got to grind it out. Yeah,
Top five's a big jump.
Sure.
I mean, he's up there. I think age is on his side. Because the thing is that if you wait, if it's, let's say he fights Kattar, let's say he wins that fight, on his current sort of level of activity, he might sit out for another year. And by that point, a few of these guys, you might kind of start getting them on the way out. But I think Yair would be... There's guys that are just as quick, if not quicker, and have got a bit more variety with their striking. That I think would make that tough.
Yair
I'm excited.
Can get taken down though, so there's...
That's true.
But yeah, you're right. He's not like he doesn't put the fear of the English in the people. I look at him and go like, I really don't want to fight that guy because it's just going to fuck up. It's going to take years off my life. Like,
no,
I just need to avoid that one.
No, but he's in the conversation, which is where you want to be. Let's run through the prelims a little quickly. So obviously we had Amekwani get the big win. Pavlovich get an impressive knockout against Abdur Shakiramov. A bit of a weird atmosphere. We were watching in a bar and we didn't have the sound on at this point because the Six Nations was on. But watching back, the atmosphere was a bit weird, but I think he got a bit more of a cheer. Everyone loves a knockout, so that kind of silenced all the other sort of flag-related stuff. Paul Craig was spectacular. I did not think he was going to pull that out the way that he did at the point.
Yeah.
One point.
I was more worried about Paul Craig than I was about Paddy Pimblett, if I'm honest. I thought that looked. He's come out and said he really wasn't that bothering, but to me that did look like you're not going to eat a lot of those. But as he's wrapping it up, apparently he just whispers into Krylov's ear, "It's over. It's over, mate." Oh,
that's fucking badass.
Pushing back retirement plans as well, so might get to see a few more fights out of the pair. Who knows?
Well, he's saying he's going for the belt now.
And that means keep staying until you lose, basically.
Yeah.
Winner stays up.
I think the Anthony Smith fight's a good call out. I'd see that. I'd want to watch that fight. And then if he beats that guy, arguably, if you fight the right person, you one fight away. I mean, certainly, particularly if Ankalaev ends up getting the strap.
That'd be fucking nice. Although, as much as I fucking bomb Ankalaev, Prohaska, and if Teixeira can dispatch Prohaska, then I'm just putting Teixeira on another level anyway. But
it's going to be I'd be very impressed if he could. I'd be very impressed if he could. If Glover Teixeira does that, he's in. I mean, he's immortalized.
Yeah, Yuri's only got the one loss, right? King Mo. And like a fucking good version of King Mo, and Yuri's still very young. So, dudes, do make some mistakes. He's got some holes, but I could give a fuck. He's so scary, dangerous.
He gets hit, and I haven't seen him how he deals with somebody taking him down.
I think in the UFC, I'm sure I've seen some of his grappling.
The problem with Glover is there's no fat on his game anymore. Everything has been stripped down to exactly what is effective for him. There's not a lot of mistakes. He doesn't bite on a lot of feints. He doesn't get caught up
those uppercuts anymore.
We'll see. We will see. Looking down the rest of the card, Jack Shaw versus Team of Valeev. One of the few decisions on the night, but absolutely spectacular fight. Jack Shaw looked like he was in a bit of trouble in round 2, but round 3, he put an absolute beating on Valeev. Knocks him down twice.
Did you guys give Shaw the first round?
It was close, though. It's very close.
I didn't know, man. I had Valeev 2 rounds up, and then a 10-8 for Shaw in the third. But what do you think, Sly?
I don't think I saw that one. I think I came in just after, unfortunately. Sorry. So I'm kind of like getting the description from the fight from you guys, which is nice.
After the Corey McKenna fight, I knew that at least one of those judges was going to give it to Jack Shaw. It was just about whether the other one saw it that way.
Well, you got 2 10-8s on the cards, right? You get 3 10-8s or 2?
Got 1.
Just the 29-27 shit.
Just the 29-27.
All right. Well, who knows? It wasn't like it was a very clear cut 10-8. That was just the way I was leaning. I think part of me needed to because I wasn't sure if he had it or not.
I thought it was a pretty clear 10-8. I was surprised that the other 2 judges didn't see it that way.
They've kind of settled down again, right? Which is like completely against the whole idea of updating the scoring system. But as hesitant as they were to give 10-8s before, not really seeing any 10-7s, maybe not that many warranted, but I only really kind of see in very kind of clear-cut 10-8s. And, none of what was supposed to be covered is kind of the in-between, when a fighter has clearly won the round by some distance, kind of just sort of bottle it and give it a 10-9. It can't be safe for third round scoring, Do
you know what I think part of the problem is, and I don't know what the solution is the idea of awarding 10-9s and 10-8s works well in boxing because, the shortest a fight will be on a professional setting is 4 rounds. And most important fights won't be 4 rounds. They'll be 6, 8, usually 10 rounds, and then title fights are 12 rounds. So you can award a 10-8 because it's 1/12 of the total action. So when merited, it's easy to give because it's not necessarily going to be, if the other guy is then just way better for more rounds, that 10-8 isn't going to matter. The problem is when you have 3 rounds of 5 minutes, to award a 10-8 is to effectively guarantee a result in one direction or another. It's basically to guarantee at least it's going to be either a draw or a win if it goes to the cards, rather than a win or a
But
loss.
that's how it's supposed to work.
But it's,
I think if they brought in open scoring in more large organizations, we'd be forced to address like this fundamental issue that mistakes made by judges impact the fights. And at the very least, if they fuck something up, the fighter should be aware of it, so they can readjust their game plan. Like,
Can
I have an idea.
Can I just understand something? Can I understand something? Right? The judges are
yeah,
the same for boxing as they are for UFC still, or not? Or do they have separate judges for separate fighting?
Many will do both.
Many will do both.
I think in
Particularly
most
if they go
places it's
to
one licensing body.
But do the licensing body, when you get your license to be a judge, you get your license to be a judge. But is that, I mean, what I'm trying to understand is that because UFC is, let's say, quite new, are the judges trained on a lot of UFC, or they're just mostly trained on boxing judging? I have no idea how that is done, the training, the testing, the diploma for being a
That is
judge.
by design. They keep a lot of this shit very behind the scenes because they don't have, when we say licensing body, it really suggests that there is some stringent criteria of qualifications they have to get. They don't. I don't know what. I'm pretty sure it's just like an application process. But yeah, man, recently there have been
they're
more
not well
judges
trained for boxing either.
Yeah. But there have been more judges talking about decisions they've made and why they made them. And there's been a bit more kind of discourse. I think until they have like a sanctioning kind of body giving out qualifications for judging and going through and doing assessments with them and holding them accountable for their decisions and getting them to explain them, we're not really going to see any improvements. Some organizations are adopting the open scoring methods now, which at the very least means that if a judge really badly fucks up a round, you know early. So you don't think I've got that round in the bag, I can coast to victory. You know you've got to finish the fight. It's the only way to kind of give some power back to the fighters.
I have sympathy with judges in one aspect with a lot more with MMA than I do with boxing. I think it's much harder to judge 5 minutes than it is to judge 3 minutes. It's way harder to recall who you think got the better of what effectively is a whole series of extra exchanges. You've got the whole difficulty of having to incorporate all these different methods, grappling, striking, and trying to level them out and value what was more effective. My thought is, what if you still had the rounds play out 1, 2, and 3, 5 minutes, but there was a clacker or some kind of indicator halfway through each round that was, so it's 3 rounds of uninterrupted action, but it's scored as 10 rounds. So the judges basically, so at the 2.5 mark, they hear a clacker and they submit a score for that half of the round.
I don't know, because in your brain, as you're trying to assess the last segment, stuff from the previous segments is going to bleed in a little bit. Like, was that before or after the most recent clacker?
No, I think that's too confusing. I think a round is just a round for me.
We can't make their job more difficult.
Yeah,
what we can
They're
do,
struggling enough as it is.
Yeah, is make them more accountable for it, and also just give them more support and direction, and actually get them to go to fucking evaluation meetings where they talk through, these scenarios. How would you score it? Why would you score it like that? But what do the rules actually say with regards to scoring? So why did you fucking score it like that? They can do it nicer. It's not how I would do it. I don't like a lot of the judges, but
Matt,
yep.
That's your new objective. Get a judge on the podcast.
Change the judges?
No, get a judge on the podcast.
Interview a judge.
That I think would be super interesting.
That's so actually judges. A really good idea. That's
I'm
a
sure
really
you
good
can
idea.
at least get one. Right? Just a little 45-minute chat.
I'll jump
Sal's tweeted shit out before,
Yeah,
like why he's done things, and probably one of the most recognizable judges in the name. We should aim high,
Not the worst idea. Not the worst idea. The only thing I think with judges is they might be a little bit reticent to do media because there might be a worry that it's just going to become, you scored this in this fight. Why?
No. the discussion shouldn't be trying to go into their individual performances. You can even like message them that say, listen, we're not going to ask you about any individual performance. We just want to find out more about how the judging
Just trick them.
works.
Hi,
how...
I'm from your kid's school. Your kid got into a fight today. Let's get you on the phone for 5 minutes. And and then just
and then just hope that they do a video.
Yeah,
and then just hope that they do a video Skype interview with us afterwards. Like we're just totally cool.
Just message them. I'm sure they'll be happy to just come in and just talk about their career and just talk about. But say we're not going to pick on any controversial fights. We're not here to discuss any decisions that you.
We can talk about it from more of a theoretical standpoint.
Yeah. More like so that people can understand what the judges
out in shame.
Yeah, where was the point of how the judges come to be a judge? How from their perspective, because we're shitting on judges like every fucking card. But in all honesty, we've never really talked to one much. I've never heard one talk. I don't even know who these people are. I think it'd be really interesting, not just for us, but for the viewers.
I agree with that. I think it's a good idea. I will try my best to see if I can get a judge on.
Thank you, man.
And please, to help that become more realistic, click a like on this video, post in the comments, tell us your thoughts. The more activity on the channel does result in the algorithm pushing us into people that haven't seen us yet. So that would be appreciated. Talking about fights and all of this nature going into the news, has anybody seen that apparently Jorge Masvidal jumped Colby Covington in a steakhouse?
Beautiful.
Well, Masvidal posted beforehand saying something like, "I know your location. You can't talk all the shit and think you're going to get away with it," and was very clearly drunk when he recorded that. This is all a bit sad, guys. Like, I get that Colby's a dick, and it sucks that Masvidal lost to him, but this doesn't look good. This looks like a petty guy that can't deal with the fact that he lost to the one guy who fucking and isn't dealing with it well.
Nah, Colby can go fuck himself. I'm completely okay with this one.
Yeah,
I really can't stand the guy. Any trouble. The guy acts like he doesn't live in the real world, and he calls himself the King of Miami. So I don't, how they found him at the restaurant, yeah?
Well, he posted that he was at the restaurant with a King of Miami belt.
Yeah. Now, also apparently, reportedly, when Masvidal turns up, Colby's like, "How do you know I'm here? Like, what the fuck's going on?" Like, and is kind of shitting his pants pretty hard. Like, it never occurred to him he was actually gonna ever bump into Jorge after all the shit he'd done and said. And this guy is so fake and says all this shit about people to media, and then when he's face to face, tries to walk it all back. I'm fucking glad this happened. I am as happy as I was when Fabricio Verdum hit him in the head with a boomerang. And Colby, the bitch that he is, pressed charges, and Fabricio had to pay a fucking fine to the Aussie police. Fucking Colby in his fucking mouth. Like, you could say everything about Brazilians, and then when one of them hits you in the head with a boomerang, it's all, I don't know why they did it. What a piece of shit. Well, I know why, Colby. The whole world knows why. You act like you don't. But the truth is, like, you live in a real fucking world with consequences. This is one of them. I don't think it's gonna fuck up Jorge at all. I think Jorge's gonna be absolutely fine.
Okay. Josh obviously hates Colby. I personally think differently. I don't think this is a good sign for Masvidal. Talking about people living in the real fucking world. In the real fucking world, you can't just hit people. And just because you're a professional fighter, and it's another fighter, I don't think that makes it okay. Now, obviously, I know that that's who Jorge is. He's the guy that speaks his. If he says it's not over and he's still gonna fucking fight you, if he bumps into you, it's gonna happen. But
this guy does owe his friends money.
So... Listen, I'm not saying that Colby's not a piece of shit. I'm just saying that, the way I take this is it's kind of invalidating and taking away from kind of the respect of the result in the octagon. Like, it sucks, but you had your opportunity to give this guy the ass whooping and you didn't. And that
No,
sucks.
no.
It sucks for us.
He got given an opportunity to try and get some vengeance that was entirely on the other man's terms. Like, I honestly felt it was a foregone conclusion. Colby was just going to go in there and just out hustle him for a 5-round decision, take it pretty easy. And they were just doing our boy dirty by making him do it at this point in his career. So I always kind of thought in the back of my mind when he loses that fight, like, he's lost the battle, not the war. Like, this guy wants to paint himself as a huge MMA star. Jorge's always going to be the biggest star. And if they ever cross paths in the real world, he is going to fuck him up. I don't know the juicy details, but does anyone know how bad did it get yesterday?
Only got knocked out. I heard he got knocked out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, no, Malky was like saying like he lost a tooth or some shit, right? But like,
Something.
I don't trust this guy. I trust John Jones more than I trust this guy.
I've seen the build-up and I've seen Colby conscious talking to the police after the incident. I have no idea what happened in between.
Okay. I think there's more to come.
We're going to find out. The one thing I will say, though, is that it gives the slightest of possible entries for Jorge Masvidal to get a rematch.
Why?
I don't think it was a good idea in the first place, but people are talking about this shit again.
He can make more money fighting other people. Colby's not a big enough star for him. And he's not going to beat Usman. He's not going to go on another win streak and get another title shot. But what he can do is make bank playing out the rest of his career, And, let Colby know, if you want to fucking pretend you are the king of Miami, you can't be scared to live here, because every time I see you, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm okay with it. I don't think you should go around aggressively bullying people and being a dickhead. People shouldn't be putting their hands on other people. It's not okay. But if I'm Masvidal and I see Colby Covington and he owes my friends money and he said all this shit about me as a father and all this other shit, yeah, I can't hate on him for it. I can't really judge him for it.
Yeah, I'll give you
in
that.
principle, it's wrong. But in that specific example, I'm like, oh shit, tell me more.
Okay, I can give you that. I accept that. Other news I've just seen pop up on Twitter from Ariel Hawani is that the UFC have decided to go with Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 4 for the UFC flyweight title next. Hopefully to do it in July.
Very happy about that.
2 guys fighting each other 4 times back to back in the space of a year and a half.
Is Askar Askarov against Kai Kara France this weekend or next?
I don't know. I'll have to double check.
This weekend.
It's this weekend. Well, when 4's enough, they're going to have a very worthy challenger waiting. That's what I think.
Imagine if it's a draw.
Oh, for fuck's sake. If it's a draw, Brandon Moreno has to go sit one out, I think.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. But I think their fights have reinvigorated the flyweight division.
Fucking to some level, they're doing big things for the sport. Fighting 4 times in a row is the stuff of legend for good fucking reason.
And how many times have the first 3 fights been pretty outstanding? I mean, I know the second fight was a lot more in favor of Moreno, but it was still a good fight. The first and the third were absolute classics.
Yeah, the shit, I bet when Mighty Mouse left for ONE FC, and he's got some cool shit coming up as well. But I bet when Mighty Mouse left, he was like, all people will ever remember that division is my name. And now it's like, sorry, bro. You're like the second coolest thing to happen in this division.
This is the thing, though. You always need a dance partner, man. However impressive dominant runs are, they don't mean anything if you haven't got a rival that kind of makes it feel valuable.
Yeah, because he kind of had he bounced Dodson twice, Benavidez twice. I think, did he fight Ian McCall 2 or 3 times overall? There was like the draw to start off his
I think he
UFC
fought him
tenure,
twice.
and then, but there was never really, apart from I guess kind of Cejudo, but then they never, after that he loses to Cejudo in a very close fight, dips out for ONE FC in the Ben Askren trade. He's got the fucking the hybrid rules fight coming up this week, maybe.
What, DJ?
Yeah, he's fighting a Muay Thai legend. I think it's like 1 round of MMA, 1 round of kickboxing, 1 round of Morris dancing, 1 round of synchronized diving. I think they're just going kind of all over the map.
I don't know if he's going to win the synchronized diving.
Well, yeah, do they score them separately? Do they score them together? Is that round even relevant? I don't fucking know.
The Morris dancing, I think he might have a shot at. I don't know how much a Thai guy is going to know about Morris dancing.
Nah, and it'll be like Jingle Jingle or the other one. It's got fucking bells on. Yeah. Sorry. Actually, I'm not that old, but I stand by that. That was a good Morris dancing joke.
Looking at other things, did anybody see the highlights of the strongman fight?
No, I heard it was all right though.
It wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. Eddie Hall started off really well, dropped Thor, but then used up all of his energy in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I heard he was all right, kind of going forward, but just defensively pretty shaky. And the Mountain just kept capitalizing. It just looked like a slightly better boxer, and then they both had to be quite
Weirdly
impressive
quick.
what it was.
Weirdly quick. Like, for a guy that is literally a giant, like, he actually moves quite athletically. Whereas Eddie Hall kind of walks like he's a strongman weightlifter.
Yeah, and shit, he's the reason Gunnar Nelson was injured.
Who, Thor or Eddie Hall?
Yeah, the Mountain, yeah.
Oh, they were doing some grappling or something like that, and he fucking...
Yeah, he was training over at SVG like a day or two, and yeah, he grappled Gunny and caused him great injury.
Ooh.
Oh shit, we didn't do the Reed McKenna fight or Mokaev Durden, did we?
We kind of touched on Mokaev Durden at the beginning.
Wasn't really a fight.
And listen,
that was a beautiful knee.
Yeah, great performance. And Corey McKenna, we can talk about. I thought just a little struggled with the range, big time. Struggled with the reach. Didn't incorporate her grappling enough. Still looks very sloppy on the feet. You can tell that she knows she's meant to move her head, but she's not actually doing it effectively. She was just kind of doing the sort of like the general wiggle and then still getting hit straight down the middle every single time. So I think striking wise, there's a lot of work to be done. And obviously what we were talking about with Aspinall, where it's just all blending itself so naturally. It feels like, okay, she's in, now I'm striking. And then it's, okay, now I'm going for grappling. It doesn't feel like these things are connected.
Yeah. I feel like maybe they've got sparring partners that are at her level or at a confidence boosting level. Whereas what they need to be doing is throwing her to the lions every fucking day so she can really, sharpen her skills there.
But at least Reed looked good. Good striker.
Looks a lot bigger.
Long. So, I don't think it was an easy fight. And obviously Corey's very young. So it's probably the first time she's ever dealt with somebody having that kind of reach advantage over her. And it was a struggle. She was reaching on her shots. She was always just a little bit out of range. And it wasn't really until the 3rd round that she found her method of victory, her way of victory, but it was a bit too late. She'll be back though. Very young, 22.
Yeah,
for sure.
All the time in the world. Guys, any other news stories that we haven't covered so far?
I haven't seen any other ones. I think oh wait, I think there was a possibility that Conor McGregor might be training with. Let me find it.
Actually, I'll tell you what, Conor McGregor is getting sued for that hotel rape allegation as a civil case.
Nice.
And, that was, details are to be believed, that was a very, very nasty, very violent incident. So,
yeah, the details are to believe they're
fucking atrocious.
pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting.
So yeah, Khamzat Chimaev asked if Conor McGregor would like to train with him.
He's threatened to whip his ass before. He tried to get on a plane to actually go over and whip his ass. So
Maybe it's
Conor should definitely take him up on that.
Maybe it's a Trojan horse. You know, maybe him and Darren
would
have
you
been having
guys
some
be
history
okay
time.
with Conor getting his ass whooped like that, Colby style?
I think it would be really funny in a very dark way if Khamzat was to invite him over for no other reason than just to absolutely annihilate him in Sweden. I think that would be the funniest fucking thing of all time. Because you just know Darren Till would be sitting there like absolutely wetting himself laughing as it's going on, probably recording it. And then would still try and be mates with Conor afterwards, like in the hospital as he's drinking out of a tube, just being like, "Oh, you got a right beating, didn't you, laddie?" Don't know why I went Scottish there. That's how bad my accents are.
You were so good though. He's just the lad. He's the lad.
I know. I doubted myself. I did it really well when I did it last week, and then I just didn't work out for me. Talking about Khamzat, have you seen that he's become a -500 favorite against Gilbert Burns on the betting lines?
Yeah.
The betting lines are opened.
Are we? Week and a half.
About 2 weeks. About 2 weeks.
I wonder if you were saying last week about the professional ones will throw some weight the other way, just to get the odds going the way they want them. I wonder if people are kind of priming to put some action on Burns, or if this is just literally just landslide, just everyone throwing their money on Chimaev.
I'd be really surprised if Burns wins that fight.
I don't know who I'm picking yet.
I'm on the train. I'm on the hype train. I'm on it all the way. I think Khamzat's for real, man. Like, it's not just the fact that he's looked impressive, but every single person that's trained with him has said that he's he's a phenomenon. He's like nothing you've ever seen before. So I'm very scared, and I'm no longer fighting that, you know, he's the man. I'm just really hoping that Leon Edwards can win this belt while he's still. It's like Gaethje and Edwards, man. It's just like, dudes, just get this belt, man. Just get this belt while you still can, because there's these scary guys that are coming, and you know it doesn't look favorable for you. But you've got this small window of hope and possibility where it can still happen for a brief moment.
Yeah, like, I mean, welterweight's getting so fucking fun. Who's the other dude? Is it Rakhmonov? Shit, I'm spacing on his name.
Rakhmonov,
yeah.
Shavkat Rakhmonov. That guy's something else as well.
He cost me a lot of money last year, but he is fucking good.
Even he, though, I don't know how he deals with Khamzat. There's a physicality to Khamzat.
There's a physicality to both of them. Neither of them are very tame when it comes to that, like Matt Hughes kind of gorilla strength there. They're both kind of scary guys. I think I do think Burns is going to be an interesting one, but I know you guys have got to get ready for the movie.
We're not leaving for like 2 hours, mate. You're fine.
Oh, I've got one other stat. Do you want to hear my stats like?
Okay.
So after 5 fights, Tom Aspinall now has surpassed Ronda Rousey for the record of the shortest amount of cage time across 5 fights, 5 wins in the UFC. I'm sure there's some fighters that have been starched 5 times and might have done it a bit quicker.
But wins.
Yep. So I think Ronda Rousey kind of gets thrown off. I think the Miesha Tate 3-round decisions in that first 5, but still.
I don't think Tom Aspinall's ever gone to decision.
Huh?
I don't think Tom Aspinall's ever gone to decision.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. He's a fucking monster. Does it on the feet, does it on the ground, does it everywhere. That's not a good song.
No. But that is, I think, any other news, guys, that you want to talk about?
No, that's it for me.
Guys, that's our show. Click the like and subscribe button. Recommend us to anybody else that you think might like what we talk about. And we will be back later this week for the pick show featuring Blades versus Duck House. Almost screwed up my words there. Guys, by Dave, by Laurie, by Trifo. Peace out.
Peace, guys.